think we are good to go. Very, very warm welcome, everyone, whoever is joining us today from all other locations, plus wherever you are right now. Warm welcome to this Celebrating You Fireside Chat that is being organized by the Life of Pride ERG, which Sanjay heads. Sanjay is here with us today. Warm welcome, Radhika. Such a pleasure to have you with us. From all of HDFC Life, we welcome you on board for this particular fireside chat, and we look forward to hearing from you. Radhika, I don't think anybody doesn't know you, but we'll definitely request Sanjay to really introduce you. Before that, let me give a little bit of Sanjay's introduction as well, while it is not required. Sanjay is someone that we all know. He's been with HDFC Life for almost a decade collectively, and I've also known him since then. He's one of the leaders who'll always be there for you whenever you need him. He's someone who's people's person, someone who's quality focused, and the man behind CX that we always are talking about these days. And you were saying something, Sanjay? Yeah, sure. So other than that, Sanjay also heads the Life of Pride ERG very, very passionately. He brings lot of energy, lot of focus, and lot of leadership time investment into this agenda that we all stand for. Radhika, this fireside chat is called Celebrating You because this indeed is about celebrating you as a person, as a leader, as a social activist, and everything that you bring as a human being to this planet. So we are going to celebrate you. And other than that, I also want to emphasize upon celebrating you as an agenda for HDFC Life. Everybody knows that this is our DEI brand, and this is the brand that really reinforces the focus that whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever gender, whatever caste, creed, religion, state, city, we celebrate you in every possible way. And with this thought and with this, again, invitation to celebrate yourself and celebrate others around you, I want to pass it on to Sanjay to please introduce Radhika and take it forward from here. So thanks once again, everyone, for joining us. And thank you, both of you, for please taking out time for this particular conversation. Thanks.
Thanks, Natasha, and good afternoon, all of you who have joined. And a very, very warm welcome, Radhika, to have you with us. It's a privilege indeed. While Natasha did introduce, and I think I've kind of been interacting with folks around in my office, and most of the people know you. It's important that I do justice to, give a glimpse of what you are as a person, as a leader, as a kind of a social activist. So I made some notes. I'm going to read it because it's quite long. I can't remember all, and still kind of I'm trying to compress it because if I have to start detailing out what all you have accomplished, I think it will take quite some time. So Radhika has been a business leader, a philanthropist, LGBTQIA plus, rights advocate. She's also a patron, founder, and champion of the Pride Fund India, the first of its kind queer fund which supports queers, and kind of it was launched in February 2025. It amplifies the work and voices of queer-led NGOs serving the communities in India. It's basically truly for the community. I think that's a very unique thing which I got to know. Radhika, a very different hat. She has been the managing director, executive director of VIP. I don't have to actually tell VIP luggage to anybody. We all have grown and we still know VIP as a brand which is kind of ubiquitous if we have to talk about luggage brand, right? And she has served there for, I mean, she was there for almost 2 decades. Now she is a independent non-executive director on the boards of two leading public companies in India. One is Metro Shoes, second is Chalet Hotels Limited. And she's also a trustee on the board of two charities in the UK, is the Give Out and Dasra. Coming to her, academic accomplishments, which again I feel very, very small when I read that bio. She is a BA in politics, philosophy, economics from the University of Oxford, and also an MBA from Harvard Business School. She is, I think, one of the first few openly lesbian business leaders and a very, very prominent speaker as LGBTQIA inclusion. And given the person she is, the kind of breadth and the depth of her work has been in the last so many decades, she divides the time between Mumbai and London. So very warm welcome again, Radhika, and thanks for joining us and giving us your time. I think when people introduce you, it's very often they speak about your successful leadership roles, they also talk about your business achievements, the whole advocacy of the LGBTQIA plus community. So I'm going to ask the question you asked me when we were trying to, discuss this. How best you'll describe Radhika Piramal?
Thank you, Sanjay. And firstly, thank you to HDFC Life for having me here. It's my privilege, it's my honor, it's my pleasure to be here today and speak to so many of you. It's a rare opportunity. I cherish it. So how would I describe myself? Well, I think first thing is what you see. I describe myself as a girl with very short hair or a woman with very short hair. I'm probably best known for being the former MD of VIP luggage. In my tenure, we relaunched Skybags, but I'm known by so many other things. Like, what do I think of myself? I think of myself as a female leader. I think of myself as a lesbian. I think of myself as a daughter, as a wife. I'm married to a woman, a sister. How else would I describe myself? I would describe myself as like Sanjay, I'm going to say a people person. I like chatting to people. I'm also impatient. I can be rude sometimes because I'm impatient. I have a bias for action and outcomes. Like I'm not professorial. I'm quite active, I'm energetic. So, and I think, Sanjay, I leave that with you. I'm all of these things all of the time. I'm not some of these things some of the time. I'm all of them all of the time.
It's, thanks a lot. I mean, it perfectly makes sense, to me when you describe yourself. And I think when you asked this question to me, I was trying to, figure out what exactly I am. I think if I have to spell out, it'll be very similar on the same lines. And one specific thing which I personal favorite is the bias for action. I think this is what really means something if you want to make a mark in this world for whatever you are doing, right? So I think if I have to really, get back to your this whole, you said that coming to your years at VIP, because this is what people have known you for, right? 2 decades. You have lived your childhood dream there of becoming the MD of VIP. You led the company through transformation. I would like to hear it from you directly, how you converted that legacy brand to a youth brand. How did you lead that transformation? Because it's something very familiar to the group of people who are listening today to you. We are in financial services as a company, insurance specifically. I think these words really resonate very close to us, what we do. So, how did you really lead that entire transformation and the whole change in the brand? It still leads, So, we'd like
Yeah,
to
yeah,
hear from
thank
you. Yeah.
Sure. So, I was quite a young MD. I became MD of the company when I was 32, and it's definitely because of the family position. So, I don't want to pretend it's some meritocracy. But having said that, I was well qualified, and I really wanted it. It was a childhood dream,
Yeah.
and I'd worked there as a brand manager in my 20s, and then I went to do my business school at Harvard, and then when I came back, I joined first as the head of marketing and then within 1 year became MD, which was my goal all along since I was 14 years old. And in terms of how I transformed the company, I'm very proud of our Indian brands. Even the boards that I serve, they are not multinationals, So Metro Shoes, Chalet Hotels is an Indian company. And VIP is one of those brands. It could have gone either way because there are brands also like HMT, Onida. We don't know them today. But then there
Yeah.
are brands like Titan, Metro Shoes, VIP, Skybags, and we know them. And the honest answer was for VIP, many people think it's my papa's brand, it's my chacha's brand, Tauji's brand, but it's not my brand. And so what we did was we tried to make VIP a bit more premium, but we also relaunched Skybags for the youth. And sometimes in a very big company, legacy company, it's takes more time to sort of turn the course of the big ship than to launch a new speedboat. So sometimes you have to do both. So we modernized fundamentally. I work with great team members to modernize our product range. Our distribution was always very strong, but we worked really, and our quality was always very good. That was never in doubt. Okay, VIP's industries is quality with the product and the distribution. But we had to make it more peppy, more jazzy, and more in tune with the youth because the Indian consumer has all their choices, right? All the choices, and they will not buy out of nostalgia. They will buy for relevance. So actually the answer was to launch Skybags. And you asked me actually a little bit about leadership. And so there, I really focus on three things. One is team. Team has, and what does all that mean? How to make a team gel, how to get the right mixture of youth and experience. Because I was quite young, but I respected my seniors, even though hierarchically they were not my seniors, they were my juniors. I was the MD, but in many ways, in experience, they were my seniors. But I gave a dose of energy to the company and it needed it. So that was a team. And then, second, I will say what I call resilience or grit. Like there are good years, there are bad years, bad quarters, team members that don't work out. You have to be okay for change and you're laga rehna hai. Like you cannot let go. It needs some relentless energy. And then the third thing I will say is behavior. In fact, behavior, not values. Or rather, values reflected in behavior, not just put up on a board. So these three things with some consistency over many years will lead to good results. Right team, right energy and effort that just persists, good times, bad times. And then good behavior. And by behavior, I mean so many things actually. Starting with being punctual, keeping your
Yeah.
commitments, keeping your word. Generally, I like to say, and I'm sure it's true of you also, Sanjay, that if Sanjay says he'll do it, it'll happen. You don't have to follow up. You don't have to chase. You don't have to second guess. Ho jayega. So that is the kind of behavior I like in management teams and leadership teams.
Thanks a lot. I think, when you suddenly took me back to the days when VIP had launched Skybags, and it kind of became something which is very happening. I was in a boarding school, and I suddenly remember I was given a Skybag, shoulder bag as well as a
Backpacks.
tall, yeah,
Yeah,
and
and we launched
yeah,
backpacks
backpacks,
also
right?
to be more young.
And this was
Yeah.
just something very funky. I said, how can VIP come up with this? And this is as great as something which you have been thinking about, right? And that's how it has continued. So I think that's the amazing transformation that we heard right from the horse's mouth, how the transformation happened. And I think you are bang on. And I have led personally a transformation project. And I do believe that the right team makes all of difference. And the whole attitude of ho jayega. You have the trust in your core people, right? And I think that's what bias for action also brings that. And you said that you are so many things, including bias for action. So that's where it adds. I think it's an amazing story. And most of us, I guess, whether it's our generation, even the newer generation, they are, kind of are familiar with this kind of transformation as VIP went through because it's still a relevant brand. It's not that it's faded in past, like you gave the example of Onita and some other brands which did fade, right? But Titan or VIP, some other kind of very, very enduring brands which have gone through multiple business cycles. I think that's where resilience comes in, which you said you are not really deterred by a kind of a crest and trough of business going up and down, but you look at that long-term horizon. And we in life insurance, that's our basic, that's a
Yeah.
dal roti. Long term नहीं सोचेंगे तो क्या करेंगे? That's how we operate. So thanks a lot for that. Uh, so tell me, I'll just segue to a very different section, and that's where I really want to spend some time with you, Radhika. And please feel free to just, whatever you want to tell us. We are all ears. We want to understand. You have navigated multiple identities. We all are some total of different identities we project, right? In public, in private, as a professional, as an individual. Very often we also say identity is very private, right? But this is what we are, right? And so tell us about your coming out story and your decision to settle in the UK, because that's something which, when I was talking to a few people, it intrigues. Such a brave person, such an accomplished person, why settle in the US? Why not remain in India? I'm being very direct here.
Yeah, yeah.
Pardon me for crossing any line here.
No, no.
And who are the people who supported you all along? And I would like you to, definitely tell us what's your kind of message, at least some kind of guiding mantra for people who are still closeted, who have this innate fear of coming out. So please
Yeah.
help
Sanjay,
us.
you asked 4 questions in one shot. Okay, so I'm going to do my best.
So
Let me.
I need to understand because we have got you, here,
Yeah, yeah.
and there's
No,
a
no, I will
chance we
answer
don't
them
get
all.
very often. So I wanted this to happen. Yeah,
Let me start by answering the coming out story. Okay,
yeah,
so you talked about how in identity and in personality also some people are private, some people are outgoing. By nature, I'm a little outgoing, not so private, and one can usually see what I'm thinking on my face, which actually makes it then quite hard to be a closeted lesbian, right? Um, so my coming out story, I will tell you three stories, and it shows how coming out is not a one-time thing, but something that we have to do again and again. Like for example, Sanjay, you will tell hazar people your wife's name, and if you think about it, every time you introduce that this is my wife, so and so,
Yeah.
when I do that, that's considered coming out, right? If I say my wife so and so, it is so I've come out like 1,000 times, maybe, or 2,000 times. But start with when I told my mother first. So I was 17 years old, and actually, I had fallen in love with a girl in high school. So I was still in high school, and I was 17, she was 16. We were in love, we were going out, and at this time, we are still at home, right? So we are not roaming around the city somewhere. We are just visiting each other's homes after school. And I'm very close to my mother. I don't like keeping secrets from her. And anyway, I think she could tell, like I don't know if you've seen a teenager in love and how they are with each other, but like there's all this giggling and all this stuff is happening. Anyway, I just had to tell her, and she was very upset. And here I want to take a minute actually and talk to all the colleagues who've kindly dialed into this. Obviously, I had to screw up my courage to tell her. And when I told her, I did not expect a positive reaction. Bear in mind, this is in the mid 90s. Okay, so this is now full 30 years ago. It's still criminal in India. Forget criminal, there's a big stigma and a social shame around it. I was confident to tell my mother because I knew she loved me. That much I knew. I knew I will not get thrown out of the house. I knew that she will not marry me off to some Marwali industrialist's son. I knew that. But she did cry. She cried and she cried. Because what are a parents' dreams for their children? The number one dream is, of course, that the child should grow up to be confident, stable, independent, so that when the parents are gone, they don't have to worry about the child. But the next big dream is that the child will get married, like financially secure, get a good job, get married. And then the third dream is that maybe that child will have children and they will get to be grandparents. So I could see that all these dreams of hers are just sort of taken away. And she was so worried about me. Will I be alone in life? Will I be lonely in life? Who will look after me when she is gone? And I think as an LGBTQ person now, I will say this, we have to give our parents time also on their journey, because I waited, 1 year. I worked it out in my mind. What am I going to tell her? But on that moment, she did not have that benefit of time, right? It was news to her. And it took a long, long time actually for her to really overcome the social shame. She never stopped loving me. Yeah. So she might have cried, but the hugs did not stop. The food in the house did not change. I mean, she used to glare at that girl when she came over, but she didn't stop her coming over.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was a big journey. I had my sister with me, who I told before, and my sister sort of helped. And I will say this to my LGBTQ colleagues who might be dialing in, that if you can find one cousin or one sibling, brother, sister, somebody a little bit on your side, it will always help when you tell the generation above. If you bear with me, Sanjay, I've got two more coming
Yeah.
out stories,
Yeah, of
okay?
course.
And they're good.
Yes.
The second story, so I came out to my mother, okay? And she said, you know what, Radhika, I love you. Fine, but don't tell anybody. Okay? Please don't tell anybody. Please, you do what you like. I think it's a mistake, but don't tell anybody, because then I don't know how to show my face. So I said, fine. I was 17, fine. So I was quite discreet for about 10 years. I worked in as I said, VIP as a brand manager. I did not want to cause my parents any embarrassment. But I was like, this is a very dual life. Some people, I'm scared. What if they find out? So I was like, I got to get out of here, out of Bombay. And therefore, I went to do my Harvard MBA. And I was very keen to get a job in New York, because even at that time, now this is 2006, I knew that life would be a little bit easier in New York. And there, after graduation, I got a job at Bain and Company, the consulting firm.
Yeah.
And there I joined the Bain ERG group. They had, even back then in 2006, it was called Be Glad. And there I was sitting, and I joined Bain, but there were still two Indian people working in Bain, and they were originally from Bombay, and their family was back in Bombay. So I had this big doubt in my mind, okay, if I come out at Bain, these two people in the New York office will find out, and then they will tell their friends and family, and खबर बम्बई तक पहुंच जाएगी, न्यूयॉर्क से
Yeah.
बॉम्बे
Yeah.
खबर पहुंच जाएगी.
Yeah.
And I was in two minds, क्या करूं? And then I had this very much younger colleague. His name was Ian. So white guy, gay guy, 21 years old, Princeton graduate, and he was sitting opposite me. He said, Radhika, if you don't come out here in New York, in Bain, when there are senior gay partners who are out, there's such a strong ERG group. He said, if you don't come out here, you'll never come out. Full life, you will end up in the closet. He's like, he gave me that boost of courage. And I was this time 28 years old. He's only 21. So I really feel you can find courage and leadership from anywhere, people younger than you. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I did it. And of course, the news came back to Bombay, but I was in London. It was okay. I mean, sorry, I was in New York. It was okay. And life went on. And it's the best thing because it gave me so much confidence, And I will say, if you're working in a company like HDFC, where, a leader like Sanjay, who's an ally, is taking this kind of stand, take some courage from that. That often in India, I feel maybe people can be more out at work than they can be at home, which is quite unusual and special. Uh, so the news came back. Then I got then girlfriend, now my wife Amanda. I met her in New York. And then I wanted to fulfill my dream job of being the MD of VIPs. So my father called me. He said, "Okay, now you've worked at Bain. 3 years have gone. When are you coming back? Like, why did I pay for this MBA for you to work at Bain or for you to come back and work at VIP? Like." I said, Papa, I want to come back, but what about Amanda? He said, okay, you ask her if she's willing to move, American woman from New York to Bombay, then you come. And I said, but Papa, what about coming out? He said, we dekhi jayenge, we tell you, tu aa, fir dekhenge. theek hai. So I like that also, leap of courage, like.
Yeah.
So I moved back. So I was out then socially, but I was not out at VIP. I thought that would be too much for Indian corporate, in 2009. Even,
Yeah.
and I
This time.
imagine I felt
Yes.
that fear even as a MD, even as a promoter's daughter. I was like, I don't want it to be awkward at all. But then I got married to Amanda in the UK, where it was legal that time.
Legal.
So
Yeah.
we had a civil union and it was legal. And somehow that got leaked to the newspaper, and Mumbai Mirror ran a tabloid article, very VIP wedding, lady love marries in London. And that day, like I went to office and the watchman was reading the newspaper.
Yeah.
So I said, so there's different levels of out, okay? So there's out to immediate family, there's out to social circle, and then there's out in the newspaper. And actually, my parents were very annoyed that they said, Abhi Radhika, abhi tune kya kiya? Like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, but now abhi newspaper mein chap gaya. I said, oh, chap gaya, abhi kya karenge, chap gaya. So we waited for something bad to happen, and nothing bad happened. And we waited, and we waited, and nothing you can do, no? It's in the newspaper, you can't take it back.
Yeah.
And nothing bad happened. And I do want to take one note of my privilege here, which is also why nothing bad happened. Because my father was my boss and he accepted me. And there was no option then. So my boss was not going to sack me. And honestly, the consumers of VIP and the customers, they don't care. They don't care. Like, do we care that Tim Cook is gay? He's a gay CEO of Apple for so many years. None of us are not buying Apple products because Tim Cook is gay. We want the product. And then employees will not complain because I was the CEO, the MD. So why will they complain up? And that to me actually showed me the importance of having an out visible leader at a senior position, because it gives people confidence to come out. So coming out is a long story and I've given you a long answer.
Well, I think that's interesting. But I have one just before I get to the other part. I have one question. So I think you had this privileged background, whether it's your family background, the legacy of your family in the whole business ecosystem country, where your academic credentials, your strength, everything, and even then, but if you look at a larger population, not everybody has got that kind of safety, psychological safety of having this courage at the age of 17 to go and tell their mothers or, fathers or siblings. So very often the kids find that psychological safety outside the home.
Yes.
If at all they have to tell, which is kind of very, very confusing, right? I mean, as a kid, I should be the best possible, easiest thing to tell my parents rather than to somebody else. But it happens, right? So
No,
how did
and
you manage that courage? Now,
I told
yeah,
two school friends before I told my mother. First, I
okay,
told my two school friends. Then I told
yeah,
my older sister, who's 2 years
yeah,
older than me. Then finally, I told my mother. It went in that order. And the reason we are scared of our parents, we're not scared. We want our parents' approval so much. It's a very
exactly,
natural thing. We are very family-oriented people
I
in
agree.
India. And
Yeah.
it is spoiling her dreams now. I mean, I've not given her any grandchildren. So I say, who I? So
But that's only fair on parents' part. I think we have to kind of understand that as well, right? I mean, it's not a very unusual ask from parent side as well.
you're saying that now, but I would be curious on the call, like how many people, most people
I don't
would be
know. I mean,
scared
I'm
to
just putting
tell
it.
their
That's what
parents.
I'm saying. Pardon me for if I'm very often I get curious to I'm asking these questions. So,
Mm,
but let me try to connect. You made a statement when you were explaining this whole thing, which is kind of a courageous leap of faith at different ages. 17 is a very, very impressionable. I can imagine myself thinking I was a very timid, shy person. I don't know what would I have done. I don't know. I'm being very often open here, but I can see my son. I can imagine he can just speak out anything he wants at the age of 17. So that's the difference I see. But I heard you talking about your father said कि you've done your Harvard and उसके लिए भेजा था कि अपनी कंपनी के लिए काम करना. So that's the ROI part, right?
yeah.
Tell me, we at HDFC, we are a financial services company, right? And our lives get guided by KPIs and scorecard and everything which we do, which is in a way it's right. I mean, that what is the business case if you want to
Yeah.
do something new? So for me, I have to, I think it's important for people who are connected. I want them also to understand that we do a lot of stuff here at HDFC Life to really promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we have done. So one thing is very clear. It's just a kind of I'm trying to utilize this platform when people are connected to make sure that people get it reiterated what exactly we at HDFC Life do, and I'm sure you will appreciate that. And for us, it's a very clear DEI policy that inclusion is everybody's responsibility. It's not that we dictate from one corner in the head office and the organization is kind of driving. We have got multiple things which we have done. We have got same gender partner coverage and our medical aid policy. We have a gender transition policy where we cover both the emotional as well as the economic part of the transition, financial part of it, a dress code, which is kind of free for all, gender neutral adoption leave we can adopt. And then we've also got some exclusive helpline 24/7 for the employees, their family members. So we do a lot, but very often, and I, because I do things in terms of transformation project where we do think about what should be the ROI. So what's the corporate ROI for any organization like us when we are driving this whole agenda? And because this is a question I need to ask to be only fair to our shareholders. Although the larger purpose is very
Yeah.
different, but at times it has to make business sense. So can you help us understand this?
Yeah, it's actually very simple. It is better employee engagement, less attrition, and higher productivity. And I will explain you the reasons why. Because I think that when people are, if employees hold a secret, for example, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, I'm transgender, I'm
Yeah.
bisexual. And if I'm always running with some background fear that if I act a certain way, if I dress a certain way, if I say a certain thing, then either because I'm out at work, not out at home, I will be caught at home, so I don't come out at work, or I'm just not accepted for who I am. Basically, I'm running with fear. My mind is not fully on my job.
Yeah.
I'm always worrying, ki, okay, oh, this person I said that can go there, this can go here. If I'm keeping a secret, fundamentally, as we all know, and even in financial frauds, for example, we have secrets, we are susceptible to blackmail. If we have masks, what I call them masks, like we are one way at home and one way at work,
Yeah.
we get so much time thinking about how to maintain that mask that we are not able to give our best self at work. Versus you working in a company which has these amazing policies, what you just described, and in particular, might feel like a small thing to you, but I really appreciate the gender neutral dress code. Okay. Like I
Yeah.
hate wearing skirts. In my school, I wore skirts till I was 14 years old, and then at 15, 16, basically, adolescence, puberty onwards, I made them make an exception so that I could wear pants. And I was then the only girl in my school wearing pants. And it sounds so small to you, but it was very important to me. Like I could not feel free in a skirt.
I agree.
And so when I come to work, what do you want the ideal employee when they come to work? That they are focused on their work and they can give their best energy, not their half energy. And we all know, for example, like, I mean, you do life insurance, right? Not even health insurance, life insurance. But let's say take your parent can be sick or your kid can be sick. And those days, even if you yourself are fine, maybe you request a leave because you cannot give your best self at work. You'll always be taking some phone call or doing something, right? You will be distracted. So basically, it is to get super engaged employees for maximum productivity, and also an employee who feels at home
Yeah.
will not leave. In fact, we will appreciate being in a place that recognizes us. So that is the ROI, and it doesn't cost the company much, actually. It costs a change in attitude from the straight allies,
Right.
but that is like a psychological cost. That is not a financial cost.
Thanks. So, you mentioned, I think you actually you made it very simple for us, because if, this whole fear of holding back, of not coming out, it's kind of a block or a hindrance in terms of realizing the full potential. And even if I have to oversimplify this, okay, that how do I make our employees more productive? You said it reduces attrition. And I have Vijay here. I think Vijay is around, our Chief Human Resources Officer, Vijay Vedyanathan. Uh, Hi, Vijay.
Yeah,
Hi.
yeah. Hi,
Hi,
Sanjay. Are you
welcome.
able to hear me?
So Vijay, I thought of
Hi, Radhika.
when I was just checking with Natasha if you're around, and thanks for being here. And I think this is the best possible, the most apt time to bring you in and just get you in the conversation. Radhika talked about how it helps in terms of the whole corporate ROI, in terms of this whole program, how it helps in improving the productivity levels, lowering the attrition. And this is your main agenda, right? This is what you keep talking about in all the discussions. So I think you got your answer here in some form or fashion.
So it was real music to my ears, Radhika, when you said that, because you said increased engagement, lower attrition, higher productivity. So those are three scorecard items of mine ticked off. So brilliant, real music to my ears. And I've been listening in right from the beginning. So thank you for making this and really, really refreshing conversation. And Sanjay, as always, very insightful questions and straight from the heart questions. So he's making it very lovely. Just one question from my side, if you don't mind. And I didn't want to butt in because Sanjay is doing such a fantastic job, but probably relevant and contextual to what we were just discussing. So many organizations, including us, we want to be seen as inclusive organizations, right? So we do what we can from a policy point of view. But when
Yes.
you do speak to people, you do hear that, while at a policy level, you are trying to be inclusive, in the living experience point of view, it may not really translate to the people who really want to see that. So, is there some advice you would give
Sure.
since there are two leaders here and maybe we can pass on this information? What are one or two behaviors that you would want to see from leaders? You did give examples of, let's say, a Tim Cook or your own father who were great allies, or somebody who's come out openly. But what are other behaviors that
Yeah.
as leaders we can exhibit to give that comfort that it's not just at a policy level but at a lived experience level?
Sure, great question. And I will actually answer by saying it's not only a leadership question, it's also finding local leaders. Or rather, it's not only a head office or a HQ kind of question. They have to be local
Yeah.
leaders. So, what I would tell any company that's on its DEI journey is have visible leaders, and honestly, having a queer leader, somebody who is lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender at the very top is the strongest signal. And I would urge you, since you have quite a strong EIG group, to measure LGBTQ representation across hierarchies and geographies. It's self-identified. Unlike, let's say, women or people with disabilities, and that itself is a good sign of trust, because people will only self-disclose if there is trust. But if you can show that there are queer leaders, LGBTQ leaders at senior levels, and they are willing to talk, for example, in town halls like this, that is a great signal. Then finding local leaders, like you have your Pride at HDFC group, are there local cells all over the country where the person puts up their hands, and even if it's just on a WhatsApp group or on some sort of slightly informal basis or with a local HR person that says, listen, hey, if anybody LGBTQ wants to reach out to me, I say I am available. I'm in Guwahati. I'm queer. I'm LGBTQ. If anybody else at HDFC Life wants to reach out to me, I'm available. It takes some courage from that local person, that local leader to do it, but that's how things start. The other thing I would say is, because you are from HR, is you must have a serious grievance redressal process, just like we have for POSH. And it needs to be serious, by which I mean some action should follow bad behavior if there is bad behavior. And that can be in the form of bullying, verbal harassment. I don't think physical harassment would happen in a place like HDFC. But if there's bullying or verbal harassment, that and this is when I said about the company shows by behavior its values. One thing to put it on the board, the other thing is to reprimand or show some penalty
Consequence.
to even a financial top performer. And happens in posh cases all the time, right? We know this.
Yeah.
I mean, and you are saying it's music to your ears. It's because I ran a company a long time. So I also care about these things, right?
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
also care about employee engagement, attrition, productivity. So yeah, local leaders, grievance redressal mechanism, visibility of senior leaders who are out, and doing this year round, not just in June, July.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much. That was very useful.
Thanks,
Sanjay, over
Vijay.
to you.
Thanks, Vijay, and thanks for being gracious enough to be
Yeah,
pulled
thank
in
you.
like this. Yeah.
Cold
Thanks
call.
thanks for the
Cold
question.
call.
Cold call, yes, yes. But Vijay and I go a long back, so I
Yeah.
think I could afford that, thing. So anyway, coming back to, let's talk about your this whole the Pride Fund India in terms of your role in Dasra and Give Out. Can you just tell us more about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So
there's something sorry,
it's
it's a
new.
very significant shift, from being a
It's
corporate
massive shift.
leader to building something which is very, very social. It's deep. It's a legacy kind of thing. So it transforms societies. These kind of steps, you can. Uh, so I want to hear, and I'm sure the audience wants to know more about these things and the whole change which you have kind of, brought in.
Well, so people on this call may or may not know, but as a family, we sold VIP luggage
Yeah.
to a private equity fund multiples last year. And this is in some ways linked to the question you had of why did I settle in the to the
Yeah.
UK, and that is actually linked to the laws in our country. It's all linked. Okay, so I'll start with that. In 2018, India decriminalized
Yeah.
being gay in a nutshell. But in 2023, the same group of people went back to the Supreme Court and said, okay, it's no longer criminal, but neither do we have the same rights as our straight or heteronormative heterosexual couples. Meaning, for example, my wife's and my marriage, which is in the UK, is not recognized in India. So
Right.
that has so many actually implications for us. We've been together almost 20 years. It means, for example, no joint, I mean, you can do it, but it's difficult. No joint bank account, no shared asset like shared house,
Mhm.
no next of kin medical emergency, things like that. So finally, we moved to the UK. That was the reason. Because our marriage was not recognized in India. And I was very hopeful that the Supreme Court in 23 would allow it, but they didn't.
Right.
And so then when I moved to the UK full time, my father said, Radhika, I'm not sure we can run this company without you full time. So then I said, okay, then we have to sell it, because until these laws change in India, I don't see me moving back to India full time. And these laws look some time away. And then that was the same reason I won India, because I was like, I was so disappointed by this 2023 decision by the Supreme Court, and I wrote about it in the newspaper. So I'm not saying anything that, I'm happy to share this publicly. That I thought, okay, if the courts are not giving us justice, and the court says we will let Parliament decide. But in Parliament, we will never get a vote, because the thing about the LGBT community is, although we are 10% of the population, we are scattered everywhere. We are not one vote bank in one location that can appoint an MP. And even though we are 10% of the population, which in India makes us maybe 100 million or 150 million people, very few people come out. Very few people are open and public and brave and lobby their friends and family and workplaces for the kind of acceptance that I'm talking about. So we don't have any political power. So as a parliament, nothing's going to happen. So that only leaves then the social sector, the non-profits. And these are actually grassroots NGOs. So what we do is we put in some capital, some funds ourselves, plus we do fundraising. And then we re-grant small donations. I mean, not small, big, we can say, but 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, maximum 30 lakhs to about 20 non-profits all over India that are led by LGBTQ people, serving vulnerable LGBTQ people, like people who have been thrown out of their house, people who are facing violence from their own family for choosing to be with somebody. So these are not the skilled people working in HDFC Life. These are actually people who have no privilege and therefore no backup, no support. And these NGOs are their lifeline. So I'm trying to support that, try and build a civil society. That's it.
That's wonderful. I think that's how, I mean, I know it takes a village to eventually bring that change, but I'm sure when possibly, you know, down the road, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know.
I hope.
Things will change, I guess, because I remember 2018 when the whole the verdict came out. Nobody really thought that it's going to come out like this. At least it got that. That was a start, right? So I believe in that eternal optimism that something started then. Maybe it will happen in very near future. So thanks for this.
And many of these NGOs, by the way, came out after 2018 because before that they were scared, right? If it's illegal, it's hard to even build an NGO.
I think in a country as diverse as India, I think some things do take a lot of time to change, but I do believe changes happen. So I think we have seen in times, that certain transformational changes do happen in and around us. I think we are not immune to that as well. The second, sometimes back, Natasha, I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but we had this privilege of hosting your sister, Aparna Piramal, and for a very candid conversation on mental health, at HDFC Life. And I read her book. I got her book, Chemical Khichdi, if I remember correctly. How I had my personal.
Vijay only had hosted it, Sanjay.
Vijay had hosted. Oh, great! See again. This is everything falls in place. So tell me, how do you? I mean, again, it's a very difficult subject again in Indian context, especially whether it's a workplace or a household. How does it come? How that strength comes in, to support, to build that support, and you did talk about it. So just tell us more about this. How do we really bring that conversations having in a very, very normal way to talk about mental health issues?
Yeah.
Because there's a very, very strong stigma around this in different parts of countries. In some very small portion, it's kind of acceptable, but generally it's kind of a stigma. So
it's a big stigma and it's a big problem. And you phrased it in the sense, how do you have the courage to do it? Sometimes I feel like, you only find out if you have courage when you have no choice. Okay, it's not like people choose to do this or that, but you react to a situation. So I said 1 in 10 people are LGBTQ. In terms of mental health, 1 in 4 people will suffer from some sort of episode of mental health issue in their life. And 1 in 4 actually means every household, because there are 4 people in a household. And if anybody experiences anxiety, depression, or suffers from a psychiatric illness, as my sister has bipolar, it affects the whole family immediately. And in fact, it affects all these things what we talked about: productivity, engagement, etc. Right? So I responded to Aparna in a very human way. Like, she was in distress. And being very frank, I was better equipped to deal with her than my parents were somehow. Maybe we are closer in the age. She trusted me more. She could be more open with me. And we could seek help, but it took a long time. And I think that whole journey of hers took 10 years to actually be open and tell people that, okay, this is the problem. And sometimes if I have this mental illness, and sometimes I might be like this, I might be less responsive on my phone, because if I do talk to you, I'll not be making sense, you know. So
Yeah.
she's had her own journey. But I guess my fundamental message it's to employees is kind of the same. That somewhere
Yeah.
if you overcome your fear and be more open, after finding the 1, 2, 3 safe people you can be open to. I'm not saying go to the whole world, but find 1, 2, 3 safe people who you think you can support. You will be
Yeah.
less lonely and you'll be able to overcome whatever difficulty you're facing in your life, whether it is finding the courage to come out or whether it is disclosing to your employer that you have this mental issue. And it is an issue, right? Because an employer
Yeah, it
might not
is.
take it well at all. So it depends.
I agree. So I think thanks for this, because, I personally believe that this is something which I have seen around my, not really a family, but in relatives and all. This is something which we did. Okay, come on, ये क्या है? कोई problem नहीं है, I know I come from a part of the country where some things are still very, very templated. This is how you deal with the things. I can be
But
very
if you
open
don't
about
address it,
this.
no, it gets worse to the point where the person
Yeah,
cannot work at all and cannot
yeah.
have a married life, for example, cannot be a parent. If you ignore the problems, they get worse.
I agree. So it's that serious. I agree. So, but I think I can continue having this conversation with you, but we have some time limitation. So I just want to ask you, and then we'll have some questions and answers, right? So tell me, hope springs eternal. I believe in that. I'm an incorrigible optimist. So tell me, what gives you hope about this whole future of diversity, equity, inclusion in India?
I mean, this talks like this give me hope. Like, because as we were preparing for it, I asked you how many people will attend, and you said thousands, and it
Yeah,
will be
more than that.
shown
I'm
all over
sure.
India.
Yeah.
You said it's in branches.
Yes.
So I'm very hopeful this could not have happened 10 years ago. I'm confident
Yeah.
this would not have happened 10 years ago. Uh, I hope in young people, like when I say young, I mean under 35, under 25. I think their attitudes to love and connection are different than our parents. I don't know what is the percentage of arranged marriages that happen within the caste system in India, but I think it would be less than 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Definitely less
Okay.
than. I can tell you, again, from the part I come from Eastern UP. I mean, if 10 years back it was majority was arranged marriage within the same caste, now it's, I think, a minority share in terms of the
I
numbers.
don't think it's minority, but it shows that the young people are able to make choices in their own life.
Yes.
And I'm all
Yeah.
about young people having the choice in their own life, what to wear, who to meet, who to marry, where to work. If you're a woman, whether you work after marriage or becoming a mother. So, progress is not straight, but I see lots of hope also. I can see for myself, like my grandmother got married at the age of 14 years old in an arranged marriage within the same caste. My mother herself was married age 17, arranged marriage within the same caste. And then I got married 28 years old to a woman. So that's progress. So that gives me hope.
That's a progress. Yeah. And that's the optimism. I fully agree. So tell me, if one message you have to just leave about this whole inclusion, belonging, creating that positive change, because it's very important for, I mean, at times it's that one simple message
Sure.
makes a big difference. So what that message would be from you, Radhika?
I'm going to give two messages because I'm
Sure.
greedy. One to the
Yeah,
one to the LGBT people and one to the allies.
sure.
So to the LGBT people, I will say overcome your fear and your loneliness and find 1, 2, 3 safe people you can talk to, because as soon as you have some community, really the problems get less, the loneliness gets less, and then over time you can create the life you like. But you have to start by telling somebody and find the right person. And to the allies, I will say, please lead with curiosity and not fear, because I will say being LGBTQ is a bit like being left-handed. Okay, not everybody is left-handed. Very few people or some people are left-handed. That doesn't mean they can't play sports. It means they're mostly like you. Just this one thing is a little different. So lead with curiosity and not fear, and you will find that LGBTQ people are, we love, we hope, we get scared, we want to belong. It's the same. We all want that.
Oh, thanks a lot. I think I'll remember these two, and I'm sure people who are listening in definitely. So some rapid fire questions. I wanted to have more actually, but Natasha forbade me to, ask because I have audience who are asking questions. So I'll get to that. So
Okay.
first one, habit that keeps you grounded.
Yoga.
Wow.
Yoga and
And
breathing
you've been practicing since when?
since undergraduate. But I
Wow.
have actually, no, that my best years at VIP, I have to confess, my yoga went down. I was so busy working.
Yeah.
And then since I turned 40, I started again because I realized that I have to.
Yeah, great. And a risk you are glad you took.
Coming out to my mother.
Yeah, big thing. I knew the answer to that definitely. And what's your favorite book? I'm a big time bibliophile, so I read everything, anything.
Mm.
What's your
I
favorite
read a
book?
lot also, so I'm trying to come up with
It is
a
difficult, right, to find
it
out
is
a
very
favorite book,
difficult
right?
because I do read a lot.
Yeah,
I will give I'm going to give a good plug for my sister's book. There's no better opportunity. So my sister
wonderful.
Aparna Piramal Raje, she's written a book
Mm.
called Chemical Khichdi: How
Yeah,
I Hacked My Mental Health. And actually, if you want the sneak peek into, our privileged South Bombay Piramal life, nothing like this book. Read the chapter. She's written from the heart and sab kuch likha hai. So go for
actually,
it.
I read it at one go, by the way. I finished it when I got the book, and I found it amazing. So I
So
urge everybody who is there, I can lend some copies I have, and you can
it
buy the
it reads
copy.
like a
Please.
thriller,
Yeah.
yeah, not
Yeah,
like a
it's
fiction.
that pace. I agree. Yeah. So great. So now I have some questions coming in, Radhika. So I'll put on my glasses because I'm getting it on WhatsApp. So I want to
Sure.
read it. Yeah. So question number one is, what is that one thing HDFC Life should do to ensure everyone still finding the courage to come forward can get it from us?
Please have visible allies in the HR team, and then please have local queer leaders. Let's say you have an ERG group. If there's few people who are confident enough, brave enough to volunteer for that, then other people can reach out to them.
Great. Then the next question is, I admire your leadership days at VIP and the whole transformation. Please leave us with one lesson from those days that's still relevant.
I think resilience. I mean, and it's true in personal life and professional life. It is true in a long marriage. It is true in a long corporate career. It is true for a long brand. You have to keep at it. There will be some setbacks, but you cannot quit when it becomes difficult.
So resilience is the key. I think that's the learning. I'm sure. I mean, that holds good in any age, any time, any industry, I guess. Anything which
And
we do, I guess. Anything which
in
we do.
yoga also, like who likes
Yeah,
waking up early in the morning to do yoga before going to work? Not
agree.
always,
Right,
but
right. Yeah. There's one more question, Radhika. Is it okay to say privileges help you accept identities better? Not much retaliation, and are there support groups for
yeah.
those who come from mediocre or humble backgrounds?
Yes, yes, yes. So yes, privilege has helped me. Absolutely, privilege has helped me in so many ways. Okay, like with the job to
Mm.
start with at VIP, the support of my father. I mean, I'm
Right.
blessed with this progressive Marwadi family. But please go and check out the pridefundindia.org. We have a list of NGOs that are in different parts of India. You can contact them. We also have a resource list. Godrej DEI. Godrej is a company that has the most amazing DEI policies, and they have an amazing resource list. So they are on Instagram, there's Gacy Family. So there are
Okay.
many resources, and I urge people who are not able to come out to their family in the village and rural to find some online community and then find a real person in real life.
Oh, great. Thanks. I think we must check out. I'll check out myself. Some of these I have, but some I think I should. Uh, there's a question. This is amazing, Radhika, to have you here. What would you say to trans people?
Trans people, my brothers and sisters, I feel for you right now. We are in a very terrible time. I will say crisis. So for people might not know, in 2014, the Supreme Court gave a positive NALSA judgment that
Yeah.
had recognized the third gender, allowed self-identification, and had a broad definition of trans people. That Supreme Court judgment was brought to life in a parliamentary act in 2019. But in March of 26, there has been an amendment to this act that has stripped away many of those rights. And instead of the right to self-identification, it is now a medical board appointed by the government by people who really don't know what they are doing will decide whether the person is transgender or not. And it is leading to, for especially for people who are transitioning right now or in the midst of the transition, it is really a very fearful time. So I will say, please seek help of your community, of your workplace, educate your employees, especially HR, your branch manager, etc., what is going on. But the community organizations are the one who can help you right now. Uh, there will be, of course, appeals. They will take time, and it is difficult. So I will say community outreach is the only thing we can do right now because that will help you in your journey wherever you are.
Yeah,
But
indeed.
I would like to assure our trans brothers and sisters that the entire LGBT community is with you, and hopefully, our straight allies are as well.
Great, thanks. Then I have another question. In today's workplace, what is the one habit every leader and every employee should practice daily to make people genuinely feel valued, respected, and that truly belong?
I will say a bit of kindness goes a long way.
Yeah,
You know, we become obsessed with work and performance and targets, but whatever we can do it with a sad and a long face, or we can do it with a smile and some kindness. Even when we are giving feedback on performance appraisals, we can make it personal or we can keep it professional about the substance of the matter, the behavior specifically, rather than about the person. So I never like personal attacks, whether whatever it is, and I think that's as important.
great, thanks. What's your favorite memory from your leadership days? Somebody asked this
Mm.
question.
I love meeting customers actually. So we've done a lot of fun dealer meets. We used to take people abroad on foreign incentive trips if they did their targets. So I have just have we took, the top leaders to Lord's cricket in 2019. Um, so there's so many, there are too many to count. And some product launches that I really loved, some products seeing, and I still see all the luggage, so many different luggage we launched. I still see them all on the conveyor belt, people carrying them on a bike. It's cool.
That's amazing, right? To see your product being used by everybody. And I'm sure many people on this call will be finding it very familiar when you talked about taking the team to Lords for a cricket match and all. Yeah. So we do
That's
that as
correct.
well. We used to do that, right, Vijay? So so I think, you know, that's all we have in terms of the questions. And there's one, I think we got these 2 points which you shared about the two messages which we wanted to communicate, what exactly that message had to be. So you said that. So thanks for that. Also, I think this conversation, I mean, I find it very cliche, when we have such a warm and enriching discussion for the last 1 hour. I don't want to kind of dilute it by saying, oh, it's a great thing and thanks for being here. But it truly meant a lot to have you with us here, and for us, I don't think allyship is a title or a campaign. It's it's a practice of, continuously doing things which you really believe in. I mean, that's what I believe. I'm sure people around, you know, uh, who understand the real meaning of being a true and useful ally will understand what I'm talking about, right? So thanks a lot for this, and we have to, I believe, it's not easy, but I think we continuously strive to make it a better place where people can be, getting that psychological safety to tell us who they are and continue to get the same environment as anybody else, right? So thanks a lot for your time, Radhika, and thanks for being so candid and so open about, your experiences. And there's an immense learning and it's a serious, I'll say, gratitude for your time. So thanks a
No,
lot for
thank
being with
you.
us.
Before we go, Lal, let me tell
Sure.
you, such a warm welcome and such a candid conversation does not have happen everywhere. So it's a lot to do with you, Sanjay, and your leadership. And if this is the kind of spirit that goes through HDFC Life and all the offices, then I'm sure it is really a fantastic place to work. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I had fun.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, same, likewise. And thanks on behalf of HDFC Life again. And maybe very soon we'll have you again. Yeah, thanks.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Thanks everybody for joining us here for this wonderful session. Have a great day ahead and be safe. Yeah, thanks.